Hey everybody, Scott Wikle. You're listening to My Kind of Country. Thanks for joining us on a Monday night. My guest tonight has got a fabulous song out called Struggle, and it was just released here on April the 3rd. And he has done some great things with his career already. He's worked with the great David Allan Coe and so many fabulous things. Upcoming album, and we're here to talk with him today. It's my pleasure to welcome Vonn Kiss to My Kind of Country. Vonn, how are you tonight?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Nice to talk to you. You've got some stellar music out there.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I try to do my best to write what matters to me and what's real to me, and hopefully put it out there and hope folks like it.
Absolutely. Well, before we talk about your new music, let's talk about your background a little bit. I know that you almost had a career in baseball, right?
Yeah, I did. I got drafted out of high school and when I was 18, and did that for 4 years, and going into my year that I got released, I was young, and basketball was always a passion of mine. So I'd always get together with my buddies, and anytime I could get on the court, I'd play. And so during the off season, I got a little bit too close to spring training and pushed a little bit too much, unfortunately, and a week before spring training, and I was supposed to report, I blew out all the tendons of my right ankle playing a game of pickup basketball, playing, thinking it was March Madness or something. So, that pretty much put an end to that, right then.
Man, well, you were, this was a serious career. You were with the Cincinnati Reds, right?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
I was.
So, obviously, some divine intervention there led you to the music business. Tell me how that came about for you.
Music has always been a big, music was always a passion right up there with sports. You can kind of get the thing about sports that I missed was the competition. There's nothing like, playing at the high level like that, and the camaraderie, amongst your teammates and your peers and your opponents even. But from a very young age, I took to both, sports and music, and, grew up singing in church, and my uncle was a big influence on my musical career. He played with, legendary Helen Cornelius and Jim Ed Brown, and so when I was a little kid, I was on tour buses young and going up and down the road, and going to some of their back then when they would play like fairs and things like that. I would go to some of those shows when I could during the summertime, and then when he wasn't on the road, him and a good friend had a club down in or a honky tonk down in Greenville, South Carolina. It was called one point it was called the Fox, and they turned it to the Silver Fox, and they brought a lot of legends through there. Coe played there, and Hank Williams Jr. played there. A lot of great, real country music artists went through there. And when I'd have, time away from school, the same thing, I'd go down and visit. And, I was definitely in places that I wasn't supposed to be that young. But, I got a taste of what honky tonks and real country music was growing up. And that's just kind of what I've always drawn to.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm assuming it must have been this honky tonk where you met David Allan Coe.
Actually, it wasn't. To be honest with you, I did when I was younger, but not enough for him to remember or me to remember. I remember, but not nothing that I could sit here and say that he would remember meeting me then and all that. So. It actually, I met him, checking into a hotel at a casino actually one day, and that's where our paths crossed.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And you've done a lot of touring with him and a lot of work with him. He certainly has some great things to say about you. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was, we were pretty inseparable for a couple of years. It's been a little bit since I've been around him. I took some time away from music actually I want to say the tail end of 2017, and took about a year off, and I just needed to kind of just get a grip on what it was that I wanted to be doing and who I was as an artist, and I kind of felt like I was being an artist and pushed in certain directions, based on, music goes through fads, and I'm not into the trendy, fad kind of music. I'm into the storytelling and the pure, passion behind, telling a story through a song. It's therapy to me. So, I had to step away from it. It was music. Anytime you add the word business to something, usually, it starts to take the fire out of what you got into it for, and it happened to me. So, I took away, stepped away from music and came home, got on a tractor and cleared my head and never stopped writing. But, there was one point I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again. And I just wrote a couple songs that I wanted to record for my daughter, and went to town back in 2018 and just went to go record it. And then I had some meetings with people and that weren't scripted or weren't planned, and it just kind of just unfolded and happened. And I just, people basically tell me, you made a mistake and you have some unfinished business left, and you need to get your songs out there. You need to let the world hear what it is and who you are and what you're doing. And so here we are, going at it. I feel much more, I can say, the right way. Not striving, striving to try to go get a record deal or, sign a major record deal, things that were kind of fueling the fire before. It's just, music's changed. You don't have to have that anymore to be relevant. And so it's just letting other people kind of help guide, and me just focus on, doing what I passionately love to do, which is writing songs and playing music.
Well, I applaud you for that, because there are so many artists that come along in the music business that have such a short shelf life. And it happens, like you mentioned, being when you attach the word business to something, things can really change, and you can end up going in directions you don't want to go. And for you to have the foresight to take that time and really stick to your guns and do what you wanted to do, I think that's fabulous, and it's obviously paying off for you.
Well, I appreciate it. I definitely, it probably comes from my childhood, and sports, I'm sure, had a lot to do with it. That's kind of like, you kind of have that no-quit mentality that, if somebody knocks you down and beats you, no, we're not done yet. Let's run this game back kind of thing. And that's kind of, I guess, the mindset that I take in life, that I'll be the first one to admit, the music business before, beat the hell out of me. It won. It won the game. There were some cool things that I did, cool shows that I played, and, met some great people, but, it got the best of me, and, it all happened really, really fast. Basically what happened is, me and Co, became like a father and son kind of relationship. We were inseparable, and he approached me and he said, when our relationship was never built around music, and it was all just about, I never wanted him to think, because I've been around stars, sports stars, music stars, whatever people want to say is a star, I guess it's relative to whoever says what's a star. But I've been around, well-known, let's just say well-known public people and public figures and things like that, and it's never like changed me. I'm still going to be me, and I want to learn from those people and learn about who they are, not what they do, because I'm passionate about music and I'm passionate about sports. When you do it all the time, you don't always want people just to be around you just for the sake of, because you're a baseball player, or because you're a basketball player, or because you're a musician or something. You want to be able to be normal, and so there's a line there, and so I know how to respect that line, with people, because I've been around it, and so mine and his relationship just built off of everything but music, and one day he came to my hotel room. He had no idea that I was even involved in music, because I didn't tell him. I was actually working with the youth. I was coaching a youth baseball team, a group of great 14-year-old kids at the time, and we were traveling around the country, and And that's what I was doing. I was being a father, and I was coaching. You know, me and Cobb, you know, became, you know, really, really close. And he came into my hotel room one day and saw that pawn shop guitar that I'd always had, and said, "And why didn't you ever, you know, is that yours? Why didn't you ever tell me you played?" You know, and my exact words were, "Man, I never wanted you to think that I was around you because I play music, or I might pick around on the guitar." You know, I said, because as far as I'm concerned, that that ship for me kind of sailed years and years ago. You know, and he said, "No, you know, I want to hear you play some stuff, and I want to hear some of the things you've done." And so I played for him, and when it was done, he was pretty stern and got up, and kind of an emotional time for both of us. And he turned around and said, "Man, you got less than 12 hours to have your bag packed and be in a lobby to leave and board the bus and for the world to start hearing you tomorrow night, or you can just choose to be, you know, what you're doing now, and nobody will ever know your talent." So I had basically 12 hours to make the decision, and you know, obviously I called my mom, I called my family, and that very next, you know, it was a very long night, but that next morning I had my bag packed, and we played a sold out show in Knoxville the next night. And, you know, he put me on a stage immediately and put me on the spot immediately, and that's how it went. Just from there is one thing after another, and you know, usually you kind of gradually get into something, you know what I mean? But it was just jump all in, and you know, and then from there it just kind of went fast, and that's when I said that, you know, it wasn't for him at all. You know, I still love that man to death, and but it was me. You know, I needed to step away from it, and you know, and just get some more clarity. You know, which I'm glad I did. You know, because I think that I'm writing better songs now because of it. I think that I'm more clear-headed in who I want to be as an artist, and I'm just writing what matters and what I feel, you know, and then we go and we cut it. You know, two of the songs that made the record, there's a new one out right now called Hardest Thing to Lose that got released on the 15th of May. Believe it or not, I wrote that song and another one that made the record that I was never planning on to be on the record. But when I played it for them in the studio the day we went in to cut the song, they said, "No, those two have to be on it." And I wrote both of them the night before I went in.
Wow.
You know, obviously didn't plan on it, but you know, that's just the way it happened. So, you know, it's weird. You know, how songs, you know, they just kind of come. I mean, I'm a deep thinker, and you know, I just hope, you know, I've been through a lot of, you know, I've been through a lot of crap in my life, you know, good and bad, you know, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and you know, and I know there's a lot of people out there that, you know, that might not have traveled the path that I'm on, you know, but it's still the same. It's still life, and so if my song, or you know, me speaking through, you know, words I may come up with may touch somebody else or help their life, or realize there's somebody else out there that's been there. There's somebody else out there that understands. You know, then that's what it's all about. You know, I'm not shooting for accolades and awards. You know, I mean, if that happens, that's great, but that's not what I got into this for.
Well, man, that's an amazing story, and I think that's fantastic. Wow, that's really cool. So we're going to play these songs, Struggle and Hardest Thing to Lose, for our listeners here tonight, and I want you to listen very closely. These are beautiful songs, and I know that you're working on an album that you're planning to release later in the year. Is that right?
Yeah. We're trying to get it out in the fall. We were hoping to get it out already, but you know, like anything else, you know, this kind of virus situation kind of derailed a lot of plans for, you know, a lot of folks out there. You know, not just music folks. There's a lot of people that are struggling, and you know, so just with what I do with music, you know, it just got pushed back. But you know, I it's unfortunate, but for me, you know, I'm thankful. I'm still blessed, and but I know that there's a lot of families out there that are worse off than I am. So, you know, and so I you know, I don't try to make this all about, you know, darn, you know, I lost all these shows or lost all this whatever. You know, I've got to push my record back. You know, that's it's definitely don't want to be a woe is me story over here, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that have, you know, lost their jobs and lost, you know, their homes, and yeah, I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation right now. It's just kind of too much too much to wrap your head around when you really think about it.
Yeah, understandable for sure. Well, things are moving forward, and I guess it'll all just work at the pace it's going to work at. So we'll look forward to hearing more music for you, and then I'm going to play these songs for our listeners tonight. VonnKiss.com is the website, and we'll have that information on our Facebook page too. And Vonn, I hope as you get more songs done, I hope you'll come back and visit with us again, man. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate it.
All right, that is Vonn Kiss here on My Kind of Country. We're going to play Struggle and Hardest Thing to Lose for you right now from his upcoming album. And listen real closely to these folks. Vonn, thanks again for being on My Kind of Country.
Thanks for having me.
You tried to break me, tried to change the man my mom and daddy made me. Tried to make me feel that all my dreams were wrong, singing country songs. You say I'm chasing crazy, those shooting stars that fall ain't gonna make me. I just play my songs in bars and folks sing along, just 3 minutes long. I feel want to make me. I spent a lifetime in motel rooms, writing songs nobody knew, thinking I'll make it, I'll make it. Ain't no superstar but a dream the same, a melody in this music heals the pain. It's hope that keeps me, praying life will lift at home, ain't gonna blame me. As I struggle with lost time out on the road, I'm always welcome home. I know they miss me. I spent a lifetime in motel rooms, writing songs nobody knew, thinking I'll make it, I'll make it. Ain't no superstar but a dream to sing, a melody in this music heals the pain. You didn't break me, didn't change a man my mom and daddy made me. They said you'll always be our son and can't do no wrong. Go sing your country songs. I guess I made it. I'm no superstar but a dream to sing, a melody in this music heals my pain.